Welcome back. Today I'm going to try to solve some puzzles on chess.com. Recently I got my puzzle rating above 2000 for the first time in this puzzle run. I think my highest score in puzzles ever was 2305, 2304, something like that. Let's just go and see how far we can get today and hopefully learn something along the way. This is an endgame puzzle. There are a bunch of pawns. I am playing with the white pieces. Okay, so I'm down on pawns quite a bit. They have just taken one. Normally in endgame puzzles, I start with process of elimination, trying to see who can win pawn races, that kind of thing. In this one, though, I have a bishop here pointed at their king. And if I move my d-pawn, that'll be a check. And so I won't have to worry about them taking that d-pawn. So I'm wondering if that's not the answer, or at least the first move. But let me think about it. If I do move that and they have to get out of check, I don't know which way they'll get out of check. I know that it costs them a move to get out of check, right? And so they won't be able to push their e-pawn. They would have to move their king. I don't know if they will come after my pawn or if they will come to the d-file to protect their pawn as it goes down. They, I guess, would have a whole bunch of moves, 6 possibilities to get out of check. Once they do that, I can push my pawn again, but then they're going to push their pawn, I assume. I don't know for sure. And I'm going to win that pawn race. I'm going to promote, but then when they promote, it's going to be check. So it might not be as simple as moving that pawn with check and then moving my pawn down. There might be something else. Oh, wow. I don't know. I might fail this puzzle, but nothing else makes sense as a first move to me other than this d-pawn move. So I'm going to go d5. Oh, I did not expect them to go that way. I still have the problem if I go to d6 that they can play knight to f8 and guard the next square for my pawn. Even if I challenge their knight with the bishop, then they could just get in front of my pawn. So I think I have to take their c-pawn now. If I take their c-pawn, of course they can't catch it, so I'm not sure why they went that way with their king. I fully expected them to go to d2. But yeah, I think I have to take the c-pawn and try to promote here, which now would be check because they went there instead of getting off of the c-file. If I take that and they push the pawn, I can come closer to it, but then they can come closer to it, and then they wouldn't be in check anymore when I promote, eventually. And then they can push, and I guess I have to chase it. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to take the c-pawn. Oh, they came even closer, and they didn't make any move to move their pawn. Well, they can't stop me now. Wait, can they? No, they can't, because if they put the knight there, I'll just take it with the bishop. Okay, gonna push the pawn again? Well, I don't understand this puzzle at all, or why the opponent is making those moves, but I'm gonna promote with check. That has to be the best move here. I did all my calculation based on a different next move by the opponent and had no idea that they would go the way that they did, which seems really odd. That took 8 minutes. I'm going to go to the analysis board, though, because I've got to know why they did what they did. They were ahead if they had just taken e4 this way. That's interesting. And it says if they had played that, I would have gone to bishop to d8. I'm guessing with the intent of coming around here to guard the promotion square. But instead they went this way, which allows me to move this pawn with check. Okay, well, I'm glad I saw that right off the bat, but it was after that that was the problem to me. It does say that king to c4 is their best move. Whoop, it's changed its mind. Now it says d3. And for a second there, when I was still talking about c4, it said that they could have gone to d2 as well. Why is d3 the best? And if so, why didn't they play that in the puzzle? I'm guessing if they went that way, then I would have multiple choices. No, I still would have had an only move, and it would have had to have been taking this pawn. Yeah, if I played d6, which is my next best move, they're going to play knight to f8, and then they would be ahead. Okay, so I still would have had to take this, and their best move would be e3 now. Okay. So if they played e3, then I would have to play c7. Are they going to play e2? It says even if they do, I'm still way ahead, even though I haven't come toward it yet. Okay, if they play e2, then my only move would be to come toward it. Okay, because now they can't promote until they put the king there, but they wouldn't. Yeah, they would. Okay, king to d2 is their best move. Okay. And then I would check with the bishop. Okay, I'm glad I figured that out just in case it had gone something like this. And when they take it, then I promote with check. It's my only move. And it doesn't matter where they go. I'm going to get this pawn. Like even if they come toward the pawn to protect it, I'm just going to check again in one of these two places. And then I'm going to take this pawn. I'm not sure why the puzzle didn't go that way. That would have made a lot more sense to me because the way that it did go after I played this, and they played king to c4, which I don't understand why they would do that. This looks a lot more dangerous. What are they doing? They know you know what I'm saying? The computer knows it can't catch my pawn, so I'm not sure why it's going that way. And then king to d5 is the next move, according to the computer. Does this just force me to keep going? That seems like the computer's actually helping me. And king to e6 was their best move again. I mean, that's what the computer says. I have to trust it. I just don't understand why those are the best moves. It's probably because the computer knows that it would have lost anyway had it come over here. But I think to a human, d3 or d2 would have made a lot more sense. Let's go back and do the next puzzle. I'm not going to have time for that many today because this one took so long. Okay, I am playing with the black pieces. I have a pawn about ready to promote, but I accidentally put my rook in front of it. They have a rook way down here, which can easily check me. It's not their turn, though, so they can't do it yet. Because my first thought before I saw their rook down there was to move this rook over one. That keeps their king from coming any closer, and the pawn's protecting it. And then I could promote on the next turn. But I saw their rook down here, so they're going to be able to check me. So that makes me think that my first move might need to be a check. Because if they come toward the pawn, then I promote the pawn, and then, that's check from my queen and my, not my rook, but I'm saying they're protecting each other. And if they take the rook, then I promote with check. If they move over, I continue to promote, and if they check me, I just work my way toward them, I guess. I don't know, but I think my first move has to be that check with the rook. Oh, it was, and they took it, so well, then I'm going to promote with check, and hopefully I can win this endgame. I mean, no other move makes sense, right? I only have a pawn and a king left. It doesn't make sense to make a king move. I'm going to promote with check. Oh, and there's still an only move. Oh, boy. Well, I want to come closer, but I don't know how that will help. No, I don't. I want to go here. I want to go to g2. Normally, I would want to come closer because it kind of closes them in, but here I need to win that rook to make this endgame a ton easier. And like so, okay, because they had a rook and 4 pawns. And I've had an endgame where I had a queen and they had a rook and nobody had any pawns, and it was still very difficult to win. And if they had a rook and 4 pawns, I don't know. I'm just not good enough to win that, but I'm glad it let me go ahead and take the rook before the end. Next. Okay, this started off with them capturing something here and threatening my queen. If I take back, they're going to check there, and they're getting pretty close to mate. Do I have any checks? Let's see. If I leave my queen there, they're going to take with check. That's one problem with that. But I don't have any checks. Wait, I don't know why, but I just had this weird feeling that what if I castled, because that would put my rook right here. Then if they took my queen, it wouldn't be check, and it would let me take their queen. But then they would get my rook, and I would get their knight. So I should do a material count first. Okay, currently we each have 3 minor pieces, 2 rooks, and a queen. My opponent is up 1 pawn. Or maybe I wouldn't get their knight then. Maybe at that point I would put my bishop here and pin that rook to the king. But that's only if long castling's the first move. Let's see, it doesn't make any sense to do that now. Not only could they take it with their queen or their knight, but they're still going to take my queen with check. Yeah, if I do that, they can still take my queen with check. I have to deal with that, and then they're just going to take my bishop. I'm definitely thinking about long castling here, because I don't see anything else. I did not look at captures. I mean, one thing, I think I said if I capture back, they're just going to take this, and then what? I threatened the queen with my knight, which also threatens a check, but they can defend against that. I mean, I was mentioning this bishop over here to e6, and with their queen gone, then there would be nothing left to take that bishop, and that would be a check. I don't suppose they would block that check with the rook or the queen, because then I would go up the exchange. I suppose they would move their king over, and then after they moved the king over, well, then I couldn't long castle because their queen is sitting in the middle. I could short castle, but that's not how a puzzle works. And we still are just even here, except, well, I've gone up a pawn, but they were already up a pawn, so I just evened up the pawns and traded off even material down here. But their queen and their rook are lined up, and their king's no longer defending the rook, so I could bring my rook over to d1, point at their queen. They wouldn't take, I don't think, because I have so much defending that, and if they did take, let's see, they did take, I don't know what I would take back with, the queen or the knight, because if I took back with the queen, then they would take with their rook. I'm not sure. I don't know. That seems better than long castling because it kind of forces a response. I'm going to try that. Okay, that worked. It doesn't make sense to do this now, I don't think, because now they can just get the queen out of the way, and then if I take their rook, they take back. That's why I think it makes more sense to check with the bishop first, which moves the king, I think, and then bring the rook to d1, because then their queen won't get out of the way because the rook's not defended. I'm going to try that. Oh, I hope it's rook to d1, otherwise I did all the rest of that for nothing. Here we go. Oh, they did take it. Okay. I mean, I guess they had to. But now do I take back with the knight or with my queen? Then we're even on material. They have two undeveloped minor pieces and a rook, and I have two developed minor pieces and a rook. But if I take back with the knight, then I'm up on material. I'm going to take back with the knight? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I had very little confidence at the beginning that that would work, but I also had no confidence in any other move. So that one seemed more forcing than the long castling, which didn't force anything, I guess. Otherwise, I had trouble deciding between the two. Anyway, next, I have time. Yeah, I have time for at least one more. Can take the bishop, I guess. I have to do something, I guess, because they've just cut off my rooks from defending each other, and their queen is here pointed at my rook, and my king is trapped in the back rank. I can just take the bishop with the rook because that pawn is pinned, their g-pawn, so I'm thinking of probably taking the bishop with my front rook here because I want the back rook to stay back there, right? Because my concern is that if I took with the with the first rank rook, well, then they just checkmate me. So if I leave this h1 rook here and take with the h7 rook, then my two rooks are temporarily protecting each other and they don't have the mate. And then maybe I can squeeze in for a mate of my own. Because I have to either protect this h1 rook or move it. I'm going to take their bishop. Oh, they took with the queen. Well, I'm going to take that with this rook, I think. Okay, I didn't think they were going to take with the queen. I thought they were just going to accept the loss of a bishop. Okay, yeah, that again does not feel like their best move in the position. Oh, and in this one, I was well ahead before their first move. That's pretty rare. It's happened a few times, but I'm up +6 before they make their first move. When they made their first move, it changed it to +8, but that move wasn't necessarily a blunder because they were already so far down. Even before they made that move, their best move is to give up the queen for this rook. So it is unusual that they were so far behind before their first move. But anyway, yeah, after I take here, it was their best move to take. And that's because I have mate incoming. Their second best move is to check me on d1, and I would take it. And their best move is to take my rook, and I'll take it. Just out of curiosity, if they did anything else, I think I have mate in 2 or 3. If they did this, yeah, mate in 2, because they can't come out this way. So when my other rook gets down there, it will be mate. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure, but yeah, that's this part. And I still have time for at least one more, so I'm going to keep going, see how far we can get. Next puzzle. There's a knight down on h1. It kind of startled me, so I assume it took a rook at some point, and I haven't made much of an effort to go after it. But let's see, are they up on material because of that? Okay, but besides the rooks, which I will count at the end, we each have a queen. We both have both bishops. We each have 2 knights. We're close to even on pawns. I might have one more. No, they have one more pawn than I do. Okay, so they're just up a rook at this point. And they've threatened my bishop. I mean, in a game, I would just bring this back here probably without hesitation, but I'm already down a rook, so I don't know if I want to do that trade or not. The idea is that I want to be able to get this knight here before too long. Let's see, do I have any checks? Let's start with that. I do have multiple checks over here on this diagonal. One with the bishop, which I think they would just take. With the queen, which they could just block. Okay, so if I play queen to h5 check, can just block with the pawn. But if they block with the pawn, I guess I could just take it with my knight, which attacks their rook and threatens a discovered check through there with my queen. But yeah, the bishop doesn't seem as good because, like I said, they would just take it. I mean, they might. Actually, I just realized their knight is pinned, so they might not just take it. But they could. They could also just move out of check. I'm going to go with the bishop. It just looked better to me. Oh, it wasn't. Okay. Well, then it was the queen, right? That's the only 2 moves that I saw. Oh, and they did block with the pawn. Pretty sure I shouldn't take it because they're going to take, and then I'm going to take. They're going to get my bishop, then I'm going to get their knight, and that's an even trade, and I'm down a full rook. So I think I have to take with the knight. I'm going to take with the knight. Oh, I see. I would have failed the puzzle anyway, even if I had made the correct first move. Oh, now is it the bishop? Maybe the bishop now. Okay, oh, that's weird that now it gives you a green dot when you miss a puzzle. Used to, there was I think it was a red dot there, wasn't it? Again, trying not to be distracted by the interface. I didn't think of that. I don't know why, because I had already seen the bishop pointed there. So I didn't think of when they block with the pawn on the queen check that I could take with the bishop. But yeah, on this one is like a normal puzzle. They were ahead until they played that. Oh, I have mate in 5. See, I didn't know it was mate. I thought my biggest threat here is that I'm going to win their queen at some point. Okay, but it had to be the queen check. Okay, I'm only slightly ahead if I play the bishop check, but it is slightly ahead, and that is because they are going to take it. I'm going to take their queen, and their best move is to check me with this bishop. But I'm still ahead now. I'm at +2. That's a significant amount even at my level, especially if what you're missing is the queen. But it's not as ahead as mate in 5, obviously. So, okay, so it had to be this. Their best move is g6, I assumed that it was. And the bishop taking. Yeah, okay. That's just a blind spot on my end for some reason. I clearly had seen that the bishop could go there. I discussed moving it there. I, in fact, tried that as my first move. So I do know that a bishop can move from d3 to g6. I'm aware of that. It just, for whatever reason, after I checked with the queen, I thought, oh, I don't need the bishop over there. Maybe that's what it was. But it had to be the bishop. And that was the end of the puzzle. But I think maybe it's because on the next move I have multiple choices. Because their best move, delays mate the longest, is king to f8. Their second best move is taking the bishop. Okay, so if they had gone king to f8, again, I would have had an only move. No, it changed its mind. At first, the second one was like +9, but now they're both mates. So never mind. Okay. If they had played knight takes g6, would I have... Yeah, see, I would have had an only move here too. It would not have been taking the queen. It would have had to have been taking the knight. And now they have to go to f8 because my knight and bishop cover all those squares and queen too. So they have to go to f8 and then this is mate. All right, yeah, it was just a blind spot, me not seeing the bishop. And now I do not have time for another one, so I ended with some loss of points. I don't remember what my peak was there, but it was 2060 something. And it says I lost 8 points for that one, but does not tell me what my current puzzle rating is. Oh, I checked over here on my statistics page, and it does say my current rating is 2060, and that is because, I had gotten up to 2068 and then lost 8 points. Okay, so 2060 is what I made it to today. Very nice. Thank you for spending your time here. Hopefully you got something out of that. I always hate to end on a loss, but I am out of time, and I'll see you next time.